Students, welcome to the class. Now we are going to the second part of the discussion of capital empire and modes of production. Welcome. Thus, facing those challenges, the idea of anthropology and how anthropology should study and what should study is returning to the source, focusing on labor process, modes of production. For Eric Wolf, the conceptual fragmentation of the world, the erasure of structural conflict, and the dehistoricization of social reality all followed from the rebellion against political economy. This is what pushed anthropologists like Wolf to return to the source, and in particular to the Marxist tradition for the building blocks of an anthropology of and within capital and empire. This was also a time when scholars within this tradition, such as Andre Godard Frank, Walter Rodney, Immanuel Wallerstein, were reconceptualizing empire and capital in terms of dependency, the development of the underdeveloped world systems, and so on. Despite yielding many important insights, this approach was more concerned with how the core metropolis subjugated the periphery satellites and less concerned with the latter's diversity. Their modes of existence before empire and the different ways that they were penetrated and subordinated. Without attending to this, the periphery still remained a stand in for traditional society. To correct this tendency, Wolf argued that it was necessary to rehabilitate and rethink some classical Marxist concept. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels based their analytical framework, historical materialism, on two fundamental axioms. Human beings are a part of nature, but they also actively, consciously, and creatively transform nature as a fundamental fact of existence. In the process of transforming nature, human beings transform themselves. Humans are a fundamentally social species existing in organized pluralities. How such pluralities are organized governs the way they confront and transform nature, which in turn affects the architecture of human social bonds. These mutually constitutive processes labor, through which human beings transform nature and themselves, and which is always social, organized, and developed by a social plurality. Labor, in Marxist terms, is far more than simply work. It is a social process where everyone involved exists within a complex set of relations with each other, relations that are reproduced as a part of the labor process itself. labor is intentional and meaningful. How social labor is deployed cannot be separate from shared systems of meaning and value that determine some social ends as more desirable than others, and the deployment of social labor in the pursuit of such ends reinforces these social meanings and values. A distinctive way that social labor is deployed together with its associated social relations, meanings, and values constitute a particular mode of production, far more than a simple economic category. Production, in Marxist terms, encompasses historical, such as changing, social relations, co constitutive relationships with nature, and the symbolic systems that make such relations meaningful. Against liberalism and Hegelian idealism, Marx and Engels proposed that social reality was not shaped by spirit, reason, or consciousness, but by how human beings reproduce their material existence. It is in this sense that the use of the term production should be understood. Each mode of production is historically specific, a unique combination of the different elements that make up the labor process, and thus constituting a unique social formation. Social labor always implies some form of division of labor, and it is possible that a group of people can capture the means of production and establish the exclusive right to control access to them, thereby transforming social relations into relations of power. In such modes, those who exercise control over the labor process will typically not engage in labor directly, while those without control must. This is the basis of class relations, whose form and ideological legitimization are all part of the labor process itself. Wolff argued that most historical modes can be classified into one of three ideal types, which cannot be fitted into any evolutionary scheme. Keen ordered modes, where labor is organized and deployed through appeals to kinship ties such as filiation, marriage, consanguinity, and affinity. Tributary modes, where a centralized or dispersed elite directs labor by controlling some strategic resources or coercive apparatus, enabling them to demand tributes for excess. Capitalist modes, where labor is commodified and wealth as capital can control both the means and ends of production. That is it for today. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.